take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can we pause it for a second? Because like the last time he did this denial with the nobody was texting war plans, he looks right into the lens. He breaks the fourth wall. It's a tell for him. Also, people on the internet pointed out that he only has one sideburn shaved.
Wait, what? Which sideburn does he have?
So
shaved?
this one is significantly, the one on the left side of his face as we see him is significantly longer than the one on the right. And once I've said that, you're not going to be able to notice anything else in this clip. So that's why I didn't say it up top.
He was in a hurry, I guess.
To be fair, he probably is shaving past, after, 5:30 a.m. And we know, 5 o'clock is when you can start drinking.
Right.
He just gets rid of the a.m. or the p.m., I think, is probably... I think what he's also doing is he looks into this camera. I think there's a bunch of other cameras. And I think he's like taking his turn, looking straight into these cameras. And that's how you know he's telling the truth.
I feel like that's too much like, oh, you came straight from Fox News into this role, because normal people who have your position don't do that all the time.
Right.
No, of course not.
Also,
that's his scam. But let's just be clear.
But how can it be the fake news? I'm sorry. And also the disgruntled employees confirm leaking to the press.
Exactly.
It can't both be that the media is making it up, and he basically confirms that those people who they threw under the bus, Caldwell, Selnick, Carroll, Casper, these are the four that were fired because of this first Signal gate. Then they're talking to the press saying, hey, we got screwed over. It wasn't our bad.
That also raises the question of who are you sharing these details with? If it is this easy for this stuff to come out publicly now, right? Like where it's quite clear who it is ultimately gave this stuff. How hard would it have been for any of these people to sort of like signal to advance? I mean, we know of at least 30 people now who are on these publicly available. I mean, these are insecure devices, and any sort of country, whether friend or foe, that has any type of intelligence agency, which is virtually all of them. The first thing they're going to do is try and bug the personal phones of people entering into government, and particularly those who are maybe coming from an arena where they haven't had to do this in the past, like, say, the weekend hosts of Fox and Friends. And the idea that this information, battle plans, you want to keep out of the hands of people, just the fact that they fire people who have the ability to expose this is indication that they have been really mismanaging their OPSEC, as it were.
Yeah, these haters who know everything that is outside the lines that we're doing.
Yeah, let's make them really mad by firing them so we can protect Pete. Like, it would have just been so much smarter for Trump to fire Pete Hegseth, and then he wouldn't have had to deal with any of this, because Hegseth's already, he's playing with house money here. He shouldn't be in this position.
Hegseth, it would be easy to fire Hegseth, except for the fact that, every time Hegseth needs Trump to stick up for him, that makes Hegseth that much more willing to do whatever Trump tells him to.
I think Trump also likes him because of all of the skeletons in his closet, too, because he thinks he's more easily controllable.
Without a doubt.
And time again. And as they peddle those lies, no one ever calls them on it. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees. And burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter. So I'm happy to be here at the Easter egg roll with my dad and my kids, because this is what we're doing.
Now he's introducing everybody to who is on the Signal chat. My dad's over there. He was on the chat. Here's my kids. They were on the chat. This is my kids' elementary school teacher. We put them on the chat. Kids are getting good grades now. Go ahead.
Maybe have the kids go play instead of backing you up on your media
exactly.
hit.
Come over here and defend Dad.
He's learned from Elon.
These kids right here. This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxsters. Hoaxsters. This group, no, this group right here, full of hoaxsters that peddle anonymous sources from leakers with access to grind, and then you put it all together.
Pause it. Wait a second.
News.
How do we know they're anonymous sources, but he knows who they are?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
He's admitting that it's the
both.
disgruntled
It's
people.
both.
Yeah.
One, if it's disgruntled leakers,
Right.
it can't be a hoax. But also, what do you mean? They're anonymous. You clearly know who it is. They were people who were on this chat.
Right, who you then fired. Then on Saturday they put out a letter, some of them saying this was unfair. And then what do you know? On Sunday, there's a report about that Hegseth added them to his second chat.
All right, let's see who else he was involved in this chat. I think he's got all of them. He brought them all to the thing today.
Anonymous sources from leakers with access to grind, and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And you know exactly what it is.
With big breasts?
Really
Is that what he was trying to say there? Wait a second, go back. Hold on for a second. Why did he say
News story. He's like, it's a hefty.
it's got-
It's got girth. It's got
access to grind, and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And what we know, you know exactly what it is. So I'm really proud of what we're doing for the president, fighting hard across the board, and I'm going to go roll some Easter eggs with my kids. Thank you very much. I have spoken to the president, and we are going to continue fighting on the same page all the way.
Crazy to have your kids though.
unbelievable? Kids, I need you guys to back me up here.
Oh, I tried my soundboard, but the nobody was texting war plans one was right there. We'll figure that out, but yeah.
Let me jump right in. I agree with Emma on this. When Pete Hegseth looks directly into the camera like that, he's not defending himself. He's performing, and once you catch it, you can't unsee it. The eye contact isn't casual. It's a cue. That kind of direct stare isn't how people talk when they're just telling the truth. It's how they talk when they want to look like they're telling the truth. Emma nailed it. He breaks the fourth wall like a guy who's been trained for it. And not by the military, by the network. That's not national security posture, that's anchor posture. What you're seeing isn't a press statement, it's a segment. And this is the Fox News crossover effect. You take a guy who made his name on cable news and drop him into a real chain of command, and the instincts don't change. When he's under pressure, he doesn't call a lawyer, he calls for a camera. That's the culture now. Talk like you're on set, even when it's real. Now, I'm not weighing in on the whole firing situation. I don't know enough about who got thrown under the bus, and I'm not going to fake it. But I will say this. When you don't have a clear story, when no one knows who's really in charge, though, when you're leaking and denying, and you're still blaming the media, that's not crisis management. That's bad television. And look, on Emma's strongest point, I don't fully agree. She says it can't both be fake news and blamed on disgruntled insiders. I get where she's coming from, but I don't think it's that clean. It actually can be both. That's how most leaks work. There's something real at the center, but the way it's packaged, who it benefits, what gets emphasized, that's where the game is played. And speaking of the game, I don't know anything about these apps. I'm not going to pretend I understand Signal's encryption or OPSEC procedures, but I'll tell you how it feels watching all this from the outside. It doesn't feel like national defense. It feels like a LARP, like everyone's cosplaying high command in a private group chat. They're not running strategy. They're running vibes. If you told me the real military is somewhere else entirely, and this is just the performance layer, just the emotional spectacle to keep the base engaged, I'd believe you. Because Hegseth doesn't look like he's in charge of anything. He looks like a guy playing a role someone handed him. And that's what gets me. This whole saga doesn't look like a rogue mission. It looks like a confused one. Too many actors, too many apps, too many leaks. Nobody's driving, nobody's accountable, and yet somehow everybody's still on camera. That's not just dysfunction, that's what imperial decline looks like, streamed, encrypted, and insecure.